Okay, Commissioners, last item of the day is item number 19. It's an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan. Docket number 157421, blocks 1407, lot 61. It's 132 East 73rd Street, located in the Upper East Side Historic District. This is a neo-Grec-style row house designed by William McNamara, built in 1878 and 79, 80, and altered in the medieval revival style by John J. Foley in 1913. The application is to alter the facade and install an areaway fence.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Caroline Caution, Preservation Staff. The subject property is located at the south side of the street, mid-block between Park and Lexington Avenues. So this building was originally a neo-Grec style row house and was altered in 1913 with a new facade that was extended and currently sits proud of its adjacent row houses to the east. So this was a condition at the time of designation, seen here. And in 1988, the Commission approved a window replacement with multi-light double-hung windows, adding a limestone rusticated base here at the ground floor, limestone window surrounds at the upper floors, and some details at the facade, as well as installing new doors and security grills. So the applicant is before you today to propose additional alterations to the facade by adding a limestone water table right above the ground floor, and to add a limestone window surround. And then at the areaway, they're proposing to install a railing. So the architect, John Calderon, is here to discuss this proposal in more detail.
Good afternoon. Again, John Calderon, Architecture and Design. So again, the existing building represents a couple of changes since it was designated and certainly since the 1940s archival photo shows. And so what we did, since the main elements were the additions to the limestone facade of the first floor, and then also the railing, was we tried to study the context and the railing designs of other fences at the block and across the street. So here you can see a number of examples in the immediate vicinity, starting with 121 on the left, which has like a, as you can see, a fairly tall fence. I'll talk more about that later. 123, also across the street, with a 4'10" prevailing fence height. 127, East 73rd Street, across the street, designed by Stanford White. Lower, about 3'8", followed by 129, prevailing fence at 4 feet. Here below each fence, you could see the entire facade in conjunction with the fence, in relation to the fence height. 136, which is adjacent to our site, has a 4'2" prevailing fence with additional ornament that goes another 14 inches. And then next to us, on the towards Park Avenue, is a 7-foot-high fence at 128 East 73rd Street. With a little bit of ornament above the 7 foot. So those were the ideas that we used in coming up with a solution. And our design, we think, is appropriate for the fence, at least in context of the height of the building. It's 4 feet, which is what the DOT that we have to get approval from allows for, with a 6-inch additional ornamental height at these periodic piers. The design was intended to take into effect, as you can see here, this works, there. You can see in the existing ornament rail at the window and at the service entry, there's a set of alternating rail design that exists. I'll show you in the photos more, but basically it terminates with, a rounded ball element, which is sort of what we're copying. The other elements, again, this is the main element that goes across the width of the building, which replaces a more simpler entablature. And then surrounding the doors, these are the elements that replace these elements here. The rest of the limestone is remaining. All of this limestone will match the existing limestone, and then we'll be replacing this existing light fixture with this custom-made Paul Ferranti designed light fixture. So you can sort of see in plan basically where the existing planters are, and then the proposed new planters that would be provided within the design of the post. And so basically, there's two elements of the railing. The third element would be surrounded by the existing stoop just to the east, and you can sort of see, and as is part of the project, the sidewalk would be replaced with a snow melting system as well. That also will be approved by the DOT application. So here you can see a little bit closer up. Again, the existing railing at the windows, it has a kind of alternating design that we tried to, we thought we would mimic and would be appropriate. And then also, I'll show you later, a fence across the street that has a similar design element. The corner is a little bit more accentuated here than a typical fence, but again, you can see that in the plan. Again, these are more just technical drawings that will be presented to the building department. And again, you can see the corner design. Again, there's basically 6 vertical posts with these four, design of 4 posts accumulated. Here's a little bit more detail, again, of the juxtaposition of the light with the door surround and the cornice that goes above it, surrounding the, topping off the limestone before the brick continues. And again, just to give you a sense of some of the cues, a little closer up, you can see 121. That again was even taller than this proposal, but it basically has a similar, it's the similar design elements in that its corners are accentuated with a kind of 4-post design, which is what we took. Again, you could sort of see the number of fences along the block, the top of the poster. Here, we just wanted to show you, again, some examples of, for example, the existing lamp that's a couple of houses down. Again, which we think helps justify the choice of our ornament. In general, with the 1988 approval by the commission, the windows became a little bit more traditional, a little bit more classical, and with the divided lights. And we think we're just reinforcing that with the new cornice that again takes on a similar profile to some of the elements right next door. Again, you can see our light and then the light that I was referring to. It's just literally next two addresses down. I think
That security camera gonna go away?
no, it wasn't. It's not planned.
It's gonna stay where it is?
Yeah. So.
But yours is the only building that projects forward, right?
No.
That's forward and has and would have a fence.
No, there's a building right here. You can see here at 124, I believe it is, that also projects forward in the areaway, right here, 126. And so this is also broad of the street line. This was also brought out, just like this building, the line. And then this building, this fence, I believe was, I'm fairly certain that it was an areaway that was approved by DOT.
Right, I just want to clarify that I said that this was one of a row of neo-Grec row houses. So it was one of 5 neo-Grec brownstone residences, and that would include numbers 128 to 136. So this example is right, it's not part of the row. And as for the areaway railing, the enforcement department is currently investigating.
Right, it looks it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so again, to reiterate, this is our building, here's the building in question here, and this is 128, 130, and there's 134, 136, which includes the, like I said, the fence that is adjacent, that's 4 foot 1 inches. And this fence is the, like I said, the fence, sorry. The fence that is closest to ours in proximity and also in terms of height is right over here, 4'2". And so our fence will go there, lined up with this fence, which is right here. And that's the stoop that will surround our fence. And then next to us is the 7-foot-high fence, which is set back.
7 feet, right. Okay, questions? Any questions? Okay, why don't we take testimony and then we can discuss. Kelly Carroll?
Kelly Carroll, and I'm reading on behalf of Historic Districts Council and also for Friends, as he couldn't be here this afternoon. So I'll read Friends first, since it's their neighborhood. 132 East 73rd Street is a neo-Grec style. I think I skipped that part. Our preservation committee found the front facade work to be an improvement over the current condition, especially since it would only affect the limestone base installed in the 80s. We further found the ice melt system to be agreeable with the added possibility of providing a public benefit. However, the proposed areaway infringes on the sidewalk and reduces the amount used by pedestrians without reasonable justification. The committee at Friends asks the commission to approve the proposed alterations with the exception of the areaway fence. Thank you. And then Kelly, on behalf of HDC, we found the facade alteration a tasteful enhancement, but ask that the proposed fence both align in height and projection of the neighbor's areaway rail at number 136 to ensure continuity of the streetscapes, railings, and fencing. Thank you.
Are there any more speakers on this item? Right, Community Board 8 recommends approval of this project. Okay, so can you just clarify, does your fence align with the adjacent neighbors in height? In width?
Yeah.
In depth, yes. Let him answer there, yeah.
Oh, sure. Here's the proposed fence. I'm sorry. There's the proposed fence is here.
Mhm.
That's lining up with this fence, which is here. We didn't show it.
The areaway for the stoop.
The stoop has an areaway that starts here. This is 134, and then to 136. 134 is a little lower in height than 136, but 136 is the one I showed you that has
4'2".
right there, 4'2". So this is one. This is where we would align with. So we have no problem with aligning with that. That works. It provides the same amount of space at the street.
Okay, let me just clarify. You're aligning with which number?
136. Right there.
If he's 134 is slightly lower, but they're all aligned in terms of depth.
Okay,
if I
but so I'm just
understand
trying to
correctly.
clarify. So depth, it's aligned, but not in height. Is that correct?
Right, we're proposing a 4-foot high fence. This is 4'2" plus 14 inches, so it's really 5'4" at the top element. While ours will be 4'6" at the very top of the ornament. And then most of this fence is both 136. 132 is largely the stoop itself and a small corner fence. But it's all lined up. Our fence will line up. So in other words, on both sides of the stoop will be a fence that will be lined
Sounds like.
On both sides of this stoop will be the existing fence at 132 and 134 and 136, and then to the right of this stoop will be our fence. So if I could just show you the design, again, the design was intended to, respect the existing stone here, existing steps that make up here. So we're cantilevering over here, so we won't be touching the element that's actually infringing on our property. So that's how we dealt with this detail.
So as you go to 134, it's at the same depth and the same height. Then you get to the stoop, and then beyond the stoop, it's still about that height, but it gets higher later on, going toward 136? Is that what you're saying?
That's right. So here it's predominantly 4'2", all of 136. Then it drops a little at 134. The photo can't see it too well, but that lines up. It has the continuous curve, and there's the stoop, and then our fence would continue again in the same line as this fence, but in front of our property.
Confusing.
So
It kind of goes around, it sounds like, yeah. So it's not.
So just like this fence turns the corner here,
Mhm.
our fence will turn the corner. It's really two rails, two arms.
Okay.
All right. Are there any more questions?
That it's really, it's not very clear. I think I understand maybe, but it's not really clear. Because what would help is either to have just a plan of the sidewalk showing these things that are there and not there now, or a photograph that showed more on either side. So it's kind of, I feel like we're looking at it in isolation. But the reason for the fence is what? It's just because, explain that, the reason for the fence?
Why the client wants the fence?
Yes.
Well, there are a couple of reasons, but partly it's to protect the planters that have been used by local animals and so forth. So that's part of it, and part of it to create an areaway. But again, we would be. There's the existing fence. That's the existing base of the stoop right here, and then that's the existing fence here, and we would line up with it.
Oh. All right. Any other questions?
Give this to Roberta.
I just have a question, just in terms of height. I know that you're drawing from that, but do you have any concerns if your fence is lowered?
Well, the preference is for this height, but obviously, we'd like to work with permission.
Okay.
If necessary. I mean, we think that there's enough precedent to approve a 4-foot height fence. Only one fence I showed you is less than 4 foot high.
Yes, Fred?
Well, I was just going to make the recommendation that the fence be that it be no further out than any other fence on the block or near this site, and that it be, matches the lowest, that's no higher than the lowest fence on the block. And work with staff. I think the design of the fence is fine. It's just, I think it's too high, but maybe only by a number of inches.
So the fence to the left is lower by a few more inches, right?
Yes, I think, is it a 4 feet too?
It's the fence is predominantly 4'2" because it covers the full width of 136, which you see here from here to here, and then 134 it drops, but it's only a few feet because there is an opening and then the stoop, and that's a little less than 4 feet. I don't have to.
So you're arguing that when you look at the three buildings together, most of the fence would be 4 foot, so.
Right.
So you're-
I think the main thing is that you've established, to my satisfaction anyway, that East 73rd Street on this block has a lot of fences.
Yes.
You don't. And I don't see any reason why this house couldn't have a fence. The question is, I just think we're in a mode these days of approving fences which are rather lower than higher.
I think that it actually hurts the building itself. I recognize that there might be fences on the buildings adjacent, but I actually think that the facade of this building has a certain kind of quiet, and it's one of the few that projects forward and meets the street in a kind of in a modest, quiet way. And the fence in front of it just, it seems just not in character with the building, with the projection, and not at all similar to the buildings adjacent that have stoops or are recessed. So I would say no fence.
What if we lowered it to 3'8" as here in 127 Stanford White's building? That's the lowest one of all these fences. And that, again, you can see is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-story building. This building here, 123, is actually 4 stories, and it is a 4'10" fence right there, the second one.
I don't see any issue with having a fence here. I would say that I would agree with Fred, and I think this building's a fine building, but I think that because it's somewhat quiet, I don't think, in fact, the fence is going to detract from that. So as long as the height of the fence, I would agree with Fred that we don't want it to encroach further. In fact, it should really sort of fit in with what's adjacent to it, or, shallower. And you can work with staff on that dimension, but also to bring its height down. And if 3'8" is one of the lower fences, then I think, at least in my opinion, that would be a better solution. Yeah.
I think two things. One, if you look at the older buildings that have the fences, almost always the fence returns in to the entrance. So it's not like a gated precinct. It's rather kind of an areaway that guides you to an entrance. Whereas I think the newer fences tend to say, this is my yard, stay out. But we've certainly done them in the past, and I don't think it's inappropriate. I just think it's kind of sad, but c'est la vie. But
Mark your own yard?
well, it's kind of, it's marked, but it's like
I think the other thing
there's
is
a forbidding quality to it.
Some areas
All
you
right.
just don't see so many fences. It's just
And
hard
here,
to see
I think it's
here.
appropriate. I just think it's kind of a bummer. But the other thing is, I did want to draw attention to that molding that we started the day with at the top of the rusticated base, which the applicant is proposing to make into a little crown molding, basically. And I'm just wondering if, from a stylistic point of view, does the staff feel that that's appropriate to this particular style building? I know when we were talking about the neo-Grec or whatever style the building was this morning on 13th Street, that was considered not appropriate.
Jared, do we have an issue with that at staff level? No? Okay. Yes, Caroline.
Commissioner, just so you know, so in 1988, when the commissioners approved the later alteration, it was basically derived from some classical details, and so it just seems it's more formal, and hence coming back to what you see here with the rusticated base. And so the door surround, the water table, staff believes is in line with that type of previous approval with the classically direct details.
Okay, one more question. What is that, what's the light fixture and what's behind that light fixture? Or is that something on the drawing? Is that little swirly thing? And
Yep.
something recessed into?
So, well, the security camera to the right. So,
There's an existing
Oh.
light fixture.
oh,
That's not, I thought that was new.
yeah. So this is the existing light fixture,
I'm talking about the new one then.
and then this is it's a Paul Ferranti custom design based on his traditional light designs, and this is ornament or Paul Ferranti design. And again, this matches very much like the
And that building
design
is the same
picture.
size as yours, or bigger?
Ours is 15 feet wide. Typically, all the lots are 15 feet wide.
And the
This,
height?
oh, in terms of the light fixture itself?
No, I was just saying, is the building is it a taller building?
Yeah, I think it's, here you go, you can see it right here. So this is the building with the light fixture that we referred to. This is really two entrances, right here and one here, is really two buildings, same design, 4 stories, and there's that light fixture, and here's our building. So it's the same height, to answer your question.
Is there any concern about the light fixture?
At first I thought it was maybe too big, but even for that other building, maybe it's big. That's fine.
Ours is smaller than the existing light.
All right, any other concerns? Okay, any concerns? Okay, so then we can close the hearing. Chris, would you like to read that?
Sure. To the matter of certificate of appropriateness at 132 East 73rd Street, Upper East Side Historic District. Application is to alter the facade and install an areaway fence, noting that the style, scale, materials, and details of the building are among the features that contribute to the special architectural and historic character of the Upper East Side Historic District. I recommend approval, finding that the building has a history of alterations at the facade and areaway, and therefore the proposed work will not result in the removal of any significant architectural features of the building, that the proposed limestone water table and door surround will relate to the classically derived redesign and detailing found on the building, that the proposed material will match the limestone base and window surrounds and will be consistent with the redesign of this house and with other row houses in the early to late 20th century within the historic district, that the design and finish of the proposed black painted railing, working with staff, will be in keeping with metal railings historically found in this district, and that the installation of the metal railing will reintroduce the presence of an areaway at this building, thereby enhancing its relationship within the row and the streetscape. Well, staff.
Right, with the recommendation that the fence will be located no deeper than adjacent areaways, and that they work with staff to ensure that the height of the fence will be at the lower end of fences along the street.
As stated.
Okay, great.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this application's approved.